the first to know. Nsem-Pii TV.
Live from the Supreme Court of Ghana, a fresh suit by a private citizen and Akwakodom Supreme Court. Reliefs or pay yedebebremo. The identity of the plaintiff yedebebremo. Now, what are the issues I was raising in this particular relief? Yebekaya, Honorable Visitor Sefwa, led by former Attorney General Godfred Yebu-Adame, Eddie, a similar suit, Kodom said, nullify the sitting of investigative committee President Mahama Paul so to the prima facie case determined against the Chief Justice, the suspended Chief Justice, Justice Gertrude Eraba Saki Tokono. Now, sir, suit has been withdrawn from court by Honorable Visitor Sefwa Godfred Adame. Most of political and legal analysts say the amount will withdraw and say a political battle between the New Patriotic Party and the National Democratic Congress, considering the influence of Godfred Yebu-Adame as a former Attorney General of the previous administration. Now, this time, a private citizen, Chambers of Premier the Bebremo, and a suit or the fresh suit or the Akwakodom Supreme Court, now of filing written on 15th May 2025. First day investigative committee na so mimiti Madam Araba Saki Tokono. Now, open the chronology of events is here. First, petitions to Kodom President Mahama from Mr. Daniel Ofori, Mr. Shining Star, and ACP Ayamka. Already details of that petition here the Abremo. Response from Justice Araba Saki Tokono to the Abremo. Now, Opam or Kase will determine a prima facie case in consultation with the Council of State and our PAM investigative committee led by Justice Poamine. So only the investigative committee. Almost 30 date on 15th May 2025. So Omubeshia Justice Gertrude Erabas Tokono and then the lawyers. Now the lawyers copy more castle and omu meeti the investigative committee. Omo petition omo to investigative committee. First one here say omo person pay a live broadcast of proceedings. Na Ghana for just like election petition, it may follow this particular case. Determine the gravitas of individual and an officer. Discussions in the air funnel. But according to law, no say this particular proceedings a cost in Canberra. Investigative committee in Anjantum. Second issue of Anjantum is say, Oman hear the lawyers of Justice Araba Saki Tokono because almost say individual in person, almost per se Justice Araba Saki Tokono ebe appear before the committee, no omototonano. Now, what is interesting here? Lawyers of the petitioners on free on by lawyer Chachuchikata, lawyer Todo Sorry, and lawyer Baka Vomawo. But lawyer Tado Sorry and Abeye the center of controversy, considering meeting Mr. Kumi also evidence awagada say lawyer Todo Sorry and judges we ekushia famous among them Justice Colendia onka this 5-member investigative committee, but what's not on the case of Honorable Visitor Sefwa, former Attorney General Godfred Yebu-Adame. Now, what is interesting here? The new fresh suit hit the Supreme Court. Almost asset now. Na yebebo release a individual way epe. Now, suit was filed. Suit number J121-2025. Now, plaintiff here, Mr. Theodore Kofi Atta Korte. Mr. Theodore Kofi Atta Korte. Or no, and a plaintiff in this particular way. Now, on the or sue against the Attorney General, Defendant, Respondent, Office of the Attorney General, and Ministry of Justice. Title here, application for an order of an interlocutory injunction into a person Supreme Court. At the interlocutory injunction to all the activities, that nullify all the activities of the Justice Poamine Committee. Now, Yenya Chambers Mr. Theodore Ofri. Yeah, the Bebremo. Now, I say the Supreme Court shall today, Wednesday, 21st day of May 2025, hear an injunction application filed on 20th May 2025 for restraining orders against the Justice Primary Committee and orders to suspend the operation of the warrant of the suspension of the suspended Chief Justice. 1. The application brought by the plaintiff as per the substantive writ filed on 15th May 2025 is brought by the learned Ibrahim Anyas Mohammed of Farouk Seidu and Associates. Inti Oho Chambers and as a particular plaintiff we free Ibrahim Anyas Mohammed of Farouk Seidu and Associates. And 4. And on behalf of the plaintiff, substantive writ of the plaintiff is Theodore Kofi Atta Korte. Now yabo Chambers of free and a plaintiff in person. After the year call reliefs are open. Reliefs and consequential nullification orders from the Honorable Apex Court that the determination of the prima facie upon advice from the Council of State and the work of the Committee of Inquiry chaired by Justice Kwamai ought to have been governed by a published constitutional instrument pursuant to Articles 296C and 11.7 of the 1992 Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. In the prima facie case, President Mahama, in consultation with the Council of State and the work of the Committee of Inquiry chaired by Justice Kwamai, a published Articles 296 Section C and 11.7 of the constitutional instrument Ebonichidom. The work of Dominic Agini, Office of the Attorney General and the Minister of Justice, of course, Justice Lawyer Sai, and also Obaka PMO. Say as we defend this, President Mahama prima facie ruling determination also winya against Justice Eraba Saki Tokono in consultation with the Council of State. Does it have a constitutional instrument? That is the question. As a Minister of Justice and Attorney General Dominic Ayini, does it have a constitutional instrument pursuant to Article 296C and 11.7 of the 1992 Constitution? Say any constitutional instrument and reliefs are appear from the Supreme Court say omonfa interlocutory injunction and through Justice Primary Committee, Investigative Committee, Nullify. Now, below a plaintiff, rate our file in the name of the Republic of Ghana, you are hereby commanded within 14 days after the service on you of the statement of plaintiff's case, inclusive of the day of service, that you are to file or cause to be filed for you a statement of the defendant's case in an action of the suit of Theodore Kofi Atta Korte. Enti we a rater or the command Office of the Attorney General. So in 14 days. Now, a declaration pursuant to Articles 23, 146, Section 6, and 296B and C of the 1992 Constitution, the exercise of the discretionary power or authority by the President in determining the existence or otherwise of a prima facie case in respect of petitions for the removal of the Chief Justice ought to have been regulated by a published constitutional instrument. In the first case, plaintiff need to buy, and on second, a declaration that pursuant to Articles 23, 1466 and 296B and C of the 1992 Constitution, the constitutional role of the Council of State in assisting the President to determine the existence of a prima facie case and to be consulted on the appointment of the Committee of Inquiry under Article 1466 must equally be subject to transparent regulation by a published constitutional instrument. Enti Ejumadia Investigative Committee here, Ejumadia President Mahama say all year, Ejumadia Council of State for all year, all in the removal process of Chief Justice Gertrude Araba Saki Tokonono. Constitutional instrument being the that is Mr. Theodore. The plaintiff in the case, in the questions will be our Supreme Court. Constitutional published constitutional instrument being the when you're judicial president, you are removing the Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana. Based on judicial precedent, because judicial precedent being a back in the removal of the Chief Justice. You could see Justice Atuguba interview or granted joint news regarding this case, or refer to Commission of Human Rights and Administrative Justice head during President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo time, or refer to the previous electoral commissioner due to procurement breaches during President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo time. But omo office no untimi fan compare that of the Chief Justice into constitutional instrument ben and odi decided say odi be Justice Gertrude Asaba Tokono based on Article 146 Section 6 and 296B and C. That is Mr. Theodore. Any questions, Obisa? Now 3. A declaration that in light of Articles 23, 146 and 7 of the 296B and C of the 1992 Constitution, the proceedings of the Committee of Inquiry established under Article 1466 to investigate the petitions for the removal of the Chief Justice must be governed by a published constitutional instrument which shall prescribe the procedures, scope, and limit of its discretionary powers. And still, he is still on the main point. The constitutional instrument be a NTH. Now, Supreme Court Husana also almost also determines a constitutional instrument Justice Lawyer Sremsai and I said Lawyer Dominic Ayine Bersighten. Does it govern procedures, scope, and a limit of discretionary powers of President Mahama in consultation with the Council of State acquire some of fasu edi Chief Justice and also we bibia keke and anything I Mr. Enesku say bibia na rules and regulations na santo committee and NC because there are no procedures guiding into obia here the epe and the questions the integrity of the judicial team ever into disrepute. 4. An order say constitutional instrument being entailed an order nullifying the entire proceedings arising from and relating to the petitions submitted from the removal of the Chief Justice, particularly the determination of the prima facie case by the President with the advice of the Council of State, the suspension of the Chief Justice, the establishment of the committee under Article 1466 of the 1992 Constitution, and the failing to satisfy the provisions of these Articles 296 and 117 of the 1992 Constitution. It say, intimi anfa constitutional instrument be a show the scope procedures as well for the Chief Justice now. Supreme Court and granted an order and nullified the entire process from President Mahama a determined prima facie case against the Chief Justice to the establishment of into the consultation of Council of State to the establishment of the investigative group. Meaning now on Bongo because any constitutional procedure, their instrument, published constitutional instrument, their and guide such a process. Now, 5. Any other order, declaration, direction, or consequential reliefs as this honorable court may deem, just to protect the institutional independence of the judiciary. 1. Capacity in which the plaintiff is bringing the case. Capacity ben edin na so ben na plaintiff we deba. So oye a concerned citizen of the Republic of Ghana pursuant to Article 2(1)(b) of the 1992 Constitution. And not the capacity of the original so edeba. 2. Address for service of the plaintiff Evergreen Street, Asofan, Accra. 4. Address of counsel for the plaintiff Farouk Seidu and Associate, Ibadan Chambers, Ahimansa House behind Niagara Hotel, Asalam Down, Accra. Now, names and address of persons to be affected. Attorney General Ewum, dated at Farouk Seidu and Associate, Ibadan Chambers, Asalam Down. Date Awaha, Counsel of the Plaintiff, Registrar, Supreme Court, Accra, Ghana. And to wait, ɛna yɛde abrɛ from the Supreme Court. Latest writer Mr. Theodore Kofi Atta Korte was submitted to the Supreme Court. So I'm determined relief. Said the President Mahama ayin down on Bonina Ingu. Yabasha constitution of panel or this particular case. So how ebe influence it. Say Justice Kolendi eteswa yabasha ne particular direction, statements, legal opinion of a man, considering the fact that a lot of controversies is around the meeting now on a Mr. Tardo, sorry, allegedly Omohavo was Santoku in the airport residential area. Where in Nsem-Pii TV, you ever got example for regarding Dominic Ayine, the current Attorney General, challenges, major challenges or have in his office, especially regarding national security. Please share, like, comment to support the channel.
Collusion. Can judges have dinner? Can lawyers sit with judges to have dinner? Did they have dinner? Was there a meeting? Were they in the restaurant? Were they in the restaurant but there was no meeting? Were they in the restaurant for their separate dinners and separate dates? Or were they together on one table? What happened? What did not happen? We'll get into that because the petitioner, Mr. Kumi, is in the studio and we'll be asking him a lot of questions. We begin, though, with the national security matter. Kwabena Edubuahin is out of today. The court had wanted the Attorney General to deliver the witness statement. What's a witness statement? A witness statement is a list of witnesses that the prosecution will be relying on to make their case. Unfortunately, the witness statement did not get to the judge today. We'll be together tomorrow. We don't know. But that's the state of affairs as far as the court is concerned. Now, let me tell you, viewers, I'll come to the Supreme Court one. That's our next story. That's a very big story. And perhaps eventually we'll talk about Manchester United. Also, tonight, there is the controversy about my brother from Ningo Pram Pram, the member from Ningo, Sam Nate George, is threatening legal action against PK Sapon, a regular writer and Facebooker who had been on his Facebook page to allege that Sam George had received a gift of a car. Sam George has issued letters publicly indicating that he will take legal action. But there's a bit more to that because Samuel Brian Boabe, one of my favorite bloggers. Is he a blogger? Samuel Brian Boabe is a good writer as well. He's one of my favorites. He's raised a fundamental issue about the whole Sam George car situation. And we'll be talking a bit about that. I had texted Sam George earlier today asking whether the story was true. He denied it. And he also sent me the legal documents and other documentation to support the claim that the car is not a gift, etc., etc. We'll get into that. That's coming up a bit in a bit. But now, the Attorney General, the learned Dominic Ayine, is still prosecuting Kwabena Edubuahin in public. And I say in public for a good reason. Let me begin the story now. The reason why this is a national security matter is that when you are prosecuting somebody who held the position of Kwabena Edubuahin, you are actually prosecuting the national security, and it's hardly ever done. And hold on, let me land. You get what I'm saying? Kwabena Edubuahin was working for national security. In working for national security, they do all kinds of things that we are not supposed to know. We being the ordinary citizens, we are not supposed to know, and they do that because their responsibility is to make sure that national security is not just policing and gun and all of that. Their responsibility is to make sure that the WASI exam happen seamlessly. That's their responsibility. It's national security's responsibility to make sure that Asante Kotoko and Hasofo game at the Accra Sports Stadium is seamless. There are no people, nobody dies. National security's responsibility it is that when there's no water in Damango, it's a national security matter. It is national security's matter when the Asante Hine is celebrating Akwesi. It's a national security matter. The protection of the president's household is a national security matter. If the president has an important person in his life and the person is living at some place, national security can advise that because this person is so important to the president, either as a policy advisor or something like that, the person must move from this place and come and stay here. National security pays for it. So the things that national security do, we are not supposed to know, because when we get to know, it will take away the effect, the authority of the national security. It is for this reason that you wouldn't find that let me see the historical photographs. Even when there are hostile changes in government, even when there's a coup d'etat, here is Commander Sasijima, who once occupied national security positions. Now here is Totobi Kwachi, who was a national security couple. Oh, you didn't get me Captain Chikata's photograph. Sorry, it's not there. I think we didn't add it to the list. Captain Kojo Chikata. Now, Totobi Kwachi took over from Captain Chikata. Now, so when Totobi Kwachi took over from Captain Chikata, Totobi Kwachi is not going to ask Captain Chikata that, let me audit how you protected J.J. Rawlings. He's not going to ask that question. Even if he's asking that question, we won't know. We shouldn't know. He will deal with Captain Chikata that, Captain, but I don't understand this. I saw Bevlo Latte there. Let me see Bevlo Latte. So Bevlo Latte was 1999, 2000. He came back in 2009. So from Bevlo Latte, it came to Francis Poku. Good. Francis Poku here, former senior police DCOP, who became the national security officer after Bevlo Latte and Totobi Kwachi. Bevlo Latte actually was commander of the 64 Infantry Battalion in those days. And then Totobi Kwachi was Minister for National Security. And then they handed over to Francis Poku. Francis Poku will not say that Totobi Kwachi should come and render accounts on how he protected J.J. Rawlings, on how he protected Mrs. Rawlings, or how he conducted peaceful Akwesidaes, or how he conducted chieftaincy disputes, or how the Takrade girls were saved because he saw some money and he wants to know. And they don't do that. They really don't do that. They don't have that conversation. I mean, you remember the 2017 incident. It's a national security matter, but I think we didn't realize that. And the matter came out, and many senior MPP people told me that they regret that situation. It was a very private conversation between the outgoing president, John Dramani Mahama, and the incoming president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. It was about a house. And the outgoing president, John Dramani Mahama, has said that I want to live in this house. This is where I've lived since I was vice president. If it pleases you, can I stay here? Apparently, there was an agreement, and that Santini was involved and all of that. Later on, the hawks in the MPP party said that we had won the election. He didn't win the election. He got only 44%. How does he decide? Wait, he should clear off from the house. When an agreement had been established between the outgoing president and the incoming president, the hawks came in and said, John Mahama should pack his things and leave the house. All of that. Somehow, regrettably, the pressure stayed, and John Mahama decided that he doesn't want any of these things. He's leaving. I remember in those days, I had a conversation with somebody. Now, at that time, I was really in the middle, and I know what I'm talking about. Some people know as well. In those days, if you were standing with John Mahama for 10 minutes, he will get about 4 phone calls of people offering him houses. I was standing there. His phone was ringing like that. He has an outgone president. He was still in the house. There was pressure that he should leave. Drones were flying over the house, taking pictures. And he was getting phone calls. Oh, Your Excellency, I have a 2 house at airport. Let's come and look at it and choose one. What is this they are doing in Ghana? I have a friend who is, I think I'm older than him. Young man, I don't want to mention his name. He saw me there and said, Paul, why are your people doing that? What is this? And I said, Charlie, this is a big matter. He said, even I can give JM a house. Even me, I can give JM a house. What's his house? What is the point? And I remember, I saw the disappointment on John Mahama's face. And he said, it doesn't matter. Let's go. I mean, there's no problem. So that, and later on, some people told me that I went to one of the important people. Again, I don't want to mention. I asked him that, but Gaps, what's happening? What's there? They said, well, I mean, the Hawks came in and this is so disappointing. This was the home that eventually Dr. Bawumia lived in and left. And at that time, they were building something for the vice president. This was a clear national security conversation that the rest of Ghana was unaware of. And as it should be, the rest of Ghana should be unaware of a situation like that. Now, if you start asking Kwabena Edubwahin that, the money that you took here and there, what happened? That's when he will start saying in public that I gave the money to the parliamentary committee. I gave the money to the Attorney General who is prosecuting me. He himself benefited from the money. The Attorney General didn't benefit illegally from the money. He was a chairman of a committee of parliament. Money was given to the committee of parliament. That's fine. But the Attorney General may not have known at the time where the money came from, because Kwabena Edubwahin did not hand the money over to the committee of parliament. He didn't do that.